Hello everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar, New to Brand Patient Challenges, What's the RX, presented by Aptus Health. My name is Paul Stockdale, Director of Pharma Industry Insights at First Word, and I'll be moderating this event. The event is being recorded, and you will be sent a link via email to download the recording immediately following the webinar. Our speakers today are Bob McMillan, Vice President of EHR and Innovation at Aptus Health, and Denise von Doren, Vice President of Access Solutions at RX Crossroads. A Q&A session will follow the presentations. You can submit your questions to our speakers during or after the presentation through the control panel that appears on the right side of your screen. Use the red arrow to collapse or expand the control panel. Okay, that's the housekeeping matters dealt with now, so I'll hand over to Bob. Bob, please go ahead.
Thank you, Paul. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Welcome to our webinar today. On behalf of Denise and myself, I'd like to thank you for taking the time today to learn about a new approach to helping newly prescribed patients achieve their desired treatment goal. And that'll be the slide that we'll start on for the folks on the line. So today we're going to take the time to set the context for our discussion by identifying some of the relevant market dynamics and challenges faced by our life sciences partners and the need for a new prescription or essentially a new-to-brand patient solution. And then we're going to discuss at a high level the new Aptus Health offering in partnership with RX Crossroads, and I have Denise on the line today, outlining both the physician and also the patient experiences. And then finally, we're going to summarize the benefits of the solution and take the time to address questions from the audience. So, Denise, are you ready to go?
Ready.
All righty. So, Paul, I'm going to start on the next slide in sequence, which is highlighted as market challenges for brands. And if you could just let me know when the folks are seeing that, that would be great.
Yeah, that's on our screens now, Bob.
Perfect, perfect. So I don't think it's any surprise that patients worldwide are getting sicker. There is more chronic disease occurring at earlier ages, and many, many patients are faced with comorbidities. So if we focus even just for a moment on one disease, diabetes, according to the ADA, the number of Americans with diagnosed diabetes is projected to increase 165%. That's from 11 million just from 2000 alone to 29 million in 2050. To me, that's a very alarming trend. For additional context, industry research cites that pharmaceutical companies lose over $200 billion in U.S. revenues alone each year, due both to a combination of primary and secondary adherence. And in fact, I've read some more recent data and publications that since this data set was originally published that suggests over $300 billion problem. So as you can imagine, when patients don't take their prescribed medication, there are significant gaps that are created in that desired treatment plan that really impacts the overall health and outcomes of the patient. And this is really a combination of many factors that lead to this problem. So as referenced in the first bullet, it could be a patient who never fills a new prescription. It may be a patient who stops taking a prescribed medication without first consulting their healthcare professional. And some studies on that point suggest that 50% of patients stop taking their medication in the first 6 months. Additionally, it could be patients who may be taking a lower than expected dose, or even someone who takes medication less frequently than prescribed. And to me, these challenges, and the quote on this page from one of our members of our online patient community, really highlight the need for an innovative solution for a newly prescribed patient that combines technology, clinical process integration, and improved medication delivery options, along with timely and relevant educational support. And Denise and I are going to cover this a little bit later on in the discussion today. Next slide, please, starting on market dynamics. So let's look at 5 current market dynamics that affect newly diagnosed or newly prescribed patients. So the first, as we touched on, is the overall health of the American population continues to be challenged. Demand for quality medical care will increase exponentially as the population ages. A couple of stats here. The number of people 65 years or older is expected to double between the years 2000 and 2030. This may surprise you based on the picture that you saw on the front of the presentation, but I'm in that category as well, so I'm right there. A second fact is that another trend that unfortunately compounds the first statement is the projected number of U.S. physicians is expected to decrease, and there will be a shortage of anywhere from 60,000 to upwards of 94,000 over the next decade. The second market dynamic is this obvious explosion of chronic conditions. Right now, about 117 million American adults have some type of chronic condition, and by 2020, just a few short years from now, 157 million Americans are projected to have more than one chronic condition, and I already referenced the alarming projected increase in diabetic patients. So in short, we are becoming a sicker population. The third market dynamic, and this should be no secret, is that provider autonomy continues to decrease, with more providers moving into group or hospital-owned practices, integrated delivery networks. There are more ACOs that have been deployed at a rapid rate, with over 700 in existence. And there's really now this fundamental shift from pay for volume to pay for value, or in simpler terms, pay for performance. So what that means is that with that growing emphasis on outcomes-based payments, healthcare providers are more interested in than ever before in a successful treatment plan. The fourth dynamic, again, no secret, noted here, is really a direct byproduct of the last, which is due to those growing physician demands and the decreased autonomy, is that provider access by pharmaceutical representatives is well below 50%, which has been well documented, and continues to decline. As a result, traditional channels that have been used in the past are becoming less effective, and some typical programs to encourage patient trials, such as samples and coupons and vouchers, have experienced variable success over the past several years. Lastly, number 5, EHRs are in widespread use. So there's greater acceptance and use of digital technologies overall to reach and engage providers as well as patients, which really emphasizes this last market trend. Since the passage of ACA legislation and the institution of meaningful use requirements, EHRs are the most prevalent technology within the healthcare ecosystem. And we feel strongly that solutions that can integrate new prescription patient support services at the point of care or at the point of a doctor making a prescribing decision to a patient are at a real advantage. So an EHR-enabled solution that makes it simple for the provider to enroll an eligible patient into a comprehensive prescription support program at the point of care, I believe is an important one, and that's what we will be talking about soon. On the next slide, just building on the market dynamics and the challenges, just thought it would be important to highlight some of the most common barriers that patients have to really starting and staying on their therapy, and many of which we can all relate to, myself included. So as you can see, cost, concerns about side effects, forgetfulness, and really even a lack of understanding by the patient of the need to take a treatment that's been prescribed are really among the top reasons that patients fail in this area. So on the next slide, how has the life sciences industry responded to some of these trends? And really take a very high-level look at the changes in some of these traditional approaches to encouraging new patient trial. So again, as we talked about, the size of the U.S. pharmaceutical sales forces have declined and decreased dramatically over the past decade in direct response to inability to access physicians. At the peak in around 2006, there were well over 100,000 pharmaceutical sales reps in the U.S., and that's declined by 40 to 50% since that time frame, and will potentially continue to decline. So no surprise that our pharmaceutical partners and clients are seeking new ways to reach providers and patients in this new reality. In the next example, samples, which have long been the gold standard for new patient trial, are declining in utility as evidenced by the decline in spend that you can see on this page, and also the fact that more practices and healthcare systems are restricting the ability to leave a sample and have those in those office settings. And then lastly, another interesting fact that I thought I would highlight on the page is the industry has responded through a significant increase in spend on copay programs over the past 5 to 7 years. Coupon programs or copay programs seem to be everywhere now. You can find them on websites, you can find them in media and print ads, in physician offices still to a large extent, and more recently within the EHR itself. And maybe potentially there's ways to be more targeted with this approach to optimize the spend, and potentially can be enhanced from the time of the e-prescription within the EHR to receipt of that patient's first medication and beyond. Next slide, Paul, if you will. So speaking of EHR, as you can see from the data on this current page, the electronic health record has rapidly become the universal provider tool, growing from below 10% in 2008 to over 80% in less than a decade. And each day, there are thousands upon thousands of electronic prescriptions that are written through the EHR systems and networks that represent thousands and thousands of opportunities to reach healthcare providers and ultimately the patients who are taking those medications when it matters most, and that's right at the point of care, in particular for that newly diagnosed patient or that newly prescribed patient. And a non-disruptive, intelligently created solution is very important in this context to provide the physician and the patient the best impact and optimize success. So on the next slide, in considering all of the market dynamics we just talked about, the challenges and the trends, we wanted to know from our physician community what physicians thought could improve that new-to-brand patient experience. So we surveyed about 260 providers in the U.S. across our digital engagement platforms in 2016, early 2016. So first thing we heard was that the most prevalent reasons that were cited by our physician community that prevent patients from taking their recommended treatments were around concerns about the medication, forgetfulness, affordability, and even transportation issues. We also learned the following. So we learned that 65% of our polled physicians believe that patients would be more likely to take a medication if it was delivered directly to their home. The second is that nearly 60% of those same polled physicians felt that patient concerns about the therapy itself or side effects could be mitigated with education and follow-up. And then lastly, nearly 3/4 of those physicians also believe that their patients would benefit from receiving a follow-up phone call during that initial prescription period with some common themes around touch points helping to reinforce the therapy. So we took this feedback and all of the market drivers and developed an innovative novel solution, which we call RxStart. And I want to take the time now to walk you through that. And then I will allow Denise, because she's been sitting quietly and very patiently, to also lend her expertise in this as well. So in previewing our new solution, RxStart, considering the emergence of the EHR as an engagement but also access tool, and that direct validation and importance of the personalized support and education and home delivery, we've devised this solution. And RxStart leverages a network of emerging EHR partners to facilitate, number one, patient enrollment into a comprehensive free trial program. Number two, direct home delivery of a one-time free trial medication supply along with educational information that's delivered from our program pharmacy partner, Rx Crossroads, directly to the patient's home. And then number three, live outreach support that's intended to improve that overall experience for the newly prescribed or essentially the new-to-brand patient. So if you imagine that newly diagnosed patient, and potentially it could be that diabetic patient we discussed in the opening who's been prescribed a new medication, the sequence of events is that during that patient encounter, as you can see on the far left, the provider is alerted to the program and the details for which a patient is eligible, offers the patient the opportunity to enroll in the program, and captures that patient's consent to participate right within the workflow at the time of e-prescribing with a very simple one-click solution. At this point now, that enrolled patient's electronic prescription is routed to our program pharmacy partner, Rx Crossroads, and they deliver the patient's free trial medication supply and educational materials directly to their home within generally 24 hours in that patient starter kit. And then additionally, as we talked about, during that initial free trial period, the patient receives personal follow-up phone calls from a program representative, and ultimately refills, if they've been written, are transferred to the patient's preferred pharmacy with encouragement for further provider follow-up. So as you can see, a very comprehensive solution we have here. Rx Crossroads plays a critical role in the patient experience, so I'd like to, at this point, hand it over to Denise to provide her perspectives and past experience as a subject matter expert in personalized patient support programs, and also review some of the key components of those patient support services that are relevant to RxStart. So Denise, you have the floor.
Great, and thank you, Bob. So Rx Crossroads is excited to have been selected as the preferred pharmacy partner for the RxStart solution and the value that it brings to the marketplace. Rx Crossroads is committed to connecting patients to their therapy, and our dedicated clinical team and pharmacy call center provides support for patients that receive prescriptions from our large-scale mail order pharmacy. We provide a full suite of services, as Bob mentioned, to ensure that patients are supported from their initial prescription through their ongoing dispenses. These services are fully customized to the unique requirements of each specific medication that we support. Some of these unique value-add services include that the product is dispensed directly from our RX Crossroads pharmacy, typically within 24 hours from the receipt of the prescription. We provide coordination of prescription shipments with the patients. This includes tracking status, which is important to the time perspective or speed to therapy. RX Crossroads Pharmacy conveniently ships prescriptions to patients' homes, and we will discuss the importance of home delivery in our next slide. We offer 24/7 pharmacist and clinical support services to assist patients with medication questions. And finally, as important as getting a patient started on therapy is the maintenance of therapy. So we provide personalized adherence plans to assist with therapy continuation. Next slide, please. So convenience leads to greater potential. Studies show that convenience associated with receiving a prescription at home versus having to go to a retail pharmacy significantly increases a patient's adherence to therapy. Data in some disease states, some common disease states, show an improved adherence of 1.72 times higher for patients on diabetes therapies, 1.71 times higher with hypertension therapy. And patients receiving their cholesterol-lowering medication at home were 1.55 times more adherent. With this in mind, the home delivery of trial products in RX Crossroads Pharmacy specifically were identified as critical elements of the RX Start solution. The RX Crossroads Pharmacy has 15 years of experience dispensing medications directly to patients via mail. Our pharmacy is FDA registered, DEA licensed, ISO, and CGMP certified. We leverage our state-of-the-art pharmacy operating system to directly connect to the Aptus Health solution for program execution, prescription dispensing, and data. Next slide. Personalized patient support. So in addition to the home delivery, customized strategies have been proven to lead to higher adherence. These higher adherence rates are the direct result of broad disease state knowledge applied to individualized support to patients. Through our partnership with Aptus Health, RX Crossroads built a custom-fit program for each individual patient. Our multi-pronged approach to this includes, first, creation of a patient profile. This profile includes preferred methods of communication. For example, if a patient prefers text versus a phone call, and so on. Second, we review the patient's prescription history, including their familiarity with the current prescription or disease area and any administration needs they may have. And third is the actual development of a tailored adherence strategy. Some of these components in the adherence strategy may include welcome calls in order to successfully initiate therapy and patient engagement, education, literature, and outreach at specific times post-initiation of therapy, periodic check-ins along the path of therapy. We conduct patient surveys and assessments, provide side effect management tools, and, of course, refill transfers. Again, these and other services provide the personalized support, dispensing speed and accuracy, and clinical adherence services for the RX Start solution. And now I'll turn it back over to you, Bob.
Thank you, Denise. I think we're about to bring it on home here. And then we'll begin to address some questions. I'm sure the folks on the phone have a lot of questions, and Denise and I will hang out until the very end to answer the questions that you may have. So, Paul, if we could move on to the summary of key benefits slide, and I'll walk the folks through that, and then I think we'll be at a point where we can begin to take some questions. So, in summary, let's review the key benefits of RX Start. So a key differentiator of our solution is the ability to enroll a patient into a comprehensive support program at the point of care for patients who have the potential to benefit the most, and that's the new-to-brand patient. So with that patient enrollment and the features of the solution, there's a real potential to increase treatment success. As we heard, home delivery of that free trial supply and the patient outreach create a more positive experience for the new patient and may even be viewed as a direct alternative to either a traditional sample that may be handed out by a physician in the office setting or a voucher redeemed by a patient at a retail pharmacy. And then lastly, with the challenges that are now faced by our life sciences partners around physician access and others, RxStart provides the opportunity for direct engagement with both providers and patients, addressing many challenges, some of which are representative lockouts, no sample practices anymore, and really the growing number of consolidated systems. So with that, Paul, I think we're ready to begin to accept some questions. So just want to remind the group that you can submit using the Q&A tab that Paul referenced in the beginning. I think we'll be happy to know I'm back online now and I'm seeing some questions come through. So given that remaining time, we're going to do our best to answer all of your questions. I see there's a lot of interest and some very good questions coming through. If we don't get to your question, please don't get mad at us. We will follow up as appropriate to get you the information that you need. So Denise, I'm going to start to roll through these if you're okay and ready to go. And depending on the question, I may hand it over to you to address. Are you good with that?
Sounds good, Bob.
All righty, awesome. So first question that came through is, and it's a good one, is when is the program going to be available? And I can take that one. So we launched the solution in late August through our first EHR partner, NextGen, within a few select beta sites as of now. And general release will begin later this year and roll into the first quarter and really continue throughout the next year. And additionally, because I'm sure that this question will come up too, Aptus Health is also working with multiple other EHR systems, and we anticipate several additional launches throughout the fourth quarter and into next year as well. Some of those other EHR partners include Dr. First, New Crop, Office Ally, and Health Fusion, as well as some others that I can comment on at a later time should there be interest. So hopefully that addresses the first question. I see another question here that has come through. Which type of product or disease type will be useful for this service? I'll take that one too. So typically, any brand in need of a solution to engage new-to-brand patients can benefit. I will, however, say that acute care products, infusion therapies, hospital-administered products are not ideal candidates for obvious reason. The best products for the free trial offer will generally be chronic therapy, typically oral, although not required, can support injectables and cold chain as well, inhalers, etc. So those we think represent the likely ideal products for our solution. Okay, Denise, I think I'm going to throw this next question to you. What is the quantity of the free trial medication supply?
So the free trial supply quantity is really up to our life science client. In general, most of the programs are 30-day supplies. However, we can accommodate a shorter supply, such as a 14-day supply.
Perfect, thank you. All righty, so, boy, there's a lot of good questions here, Denise. Hopefully you can hang on for a bit longer.
Okay.
So, this is a good question. Denise, I'm actually going to throw this one back to you too, because I'm not sure people are getting tired of hearing my voice, but maybe they like to hear you. You got that good phone voice. So the next question, is this an actual sample that is being shipped?
So it is not a sample. We utilize a free trade supply that is shipped directly from consigned inventory at the RxCrossroads program pharmacy. So this solution leverages e-prescribing to process or to place the order for the free trial shipment. And it's really to be considered an alternative to samples.
Yeah, that's great, and I'll add to that a little bit. So really, unlike a sample program, our solution allows for direct home delivery of that first free trial supply without the need for distribution of samples to a requesting physician, who would then typically receive the sample, store the sample, and then ultimately disperse the sample to an appropriate eligible patient as a patient start or patient trial. And good segue actually into our next question that came through, and I'll take this one, Denise. So this question is, how is this different than a voucher program? That's another good question. So if you can think of a traditional voucher program, that typically requires the patient to take that voucher that they've either been handed by their physician or gathered it other means, potentially a website or other, and they have to go to the retail pharmacy, present the voucher to the pharmacist. The pharmacist then processes the prescription and adjudicates the voucher, and then dispenses the free trial supply to the patient, who then out the door they go and home to hopefully take their medication. In the Rx Start solution, the enrolled patient's prescription is routed directly to RxCrossroads as the program pharmacy. They process that prescription upon receipt and pick, pack, and ship the initial free trial supply that, as Denise mentioned, is consigned inventory from the participating pharmaceutical partner directly to the patient's home, and generally within 24 hours of processing. So from a program value perspective, this compares very favorably, as there's really not a need to now separately reimburse a retail pharmacy for a product that they've already purchased through a wholesaler and dispensed to the patient. So hopefully that addresses that question. Still some questions coming in, Denise. So next question, and I'm going to throw this one to you. Does the pharma client receive HCP or patient opt-in data into their database?
So that's a simple answer, no. So we're not able to share any personal information or PHI with our clients. However, we do have the opportunity to offer patient enrollment into a separate CRM program that could be specific to their treatment. So we can do this through the patient starter kit that is shipped to the patient's home. We can offer outreach phone calls to get patients to enroll into a separate CRM, or in a direct mailing to the patient. So that's just another opportunity for the manufacturer to connect directly with the patient or HCP data.
Thanks, Denise. I'm going to take this next question. So how can I see the functions within the EHR? Well, I would love to show it to you today, but I would encourage any of our life sciences partners on the phone today who are interested in reviewing the solution, please contact us. My email information is up on the last slide. You can, as we mentioned too, download our white paper, or you can feel free to reach out directly to one of our business development colleagues, and we'd be more than happy to set up a meeting and walk you through what this solution looks like. So next question, They're still coming in, Denise, so we're going to keep rolling. If you're good to go, hopefully you've eaten lunch and you've got some energy and can continue.
I'll make it.
So, what are the benefits of this approach in relation to institutional restriction on samples? That's a great question, and we talked a little bit about that in the context of the key benefits. So we know that through consolidation of physician practices, more and more practices are now restricting not only access by reps, but also the ability to request, receive, and store samples within those practice locations. So the benefit of RxStart is that it leverages that workflow integration through the EHR to administer a free trial start directly to an eligible enrolled patient without the need for that practice to manage sample inventory, which is, as we know, can be cumbersome, particularly with some of the JCO regulations around having to log and track. So in essence, we now have a real good alternative solution for health systems and practices that no longer accept samples. So we still have a few more questions here, and I am committed to getting through these, folks. So hopefully you can hang on for a little bit longer, and then I think we'll go a couple more minutes and then close it out, and Paul, I'll hand it back to you. But the next question, how does the doctor know about the availability and the training for physicians? So Aptus Health is working with our EHR partners to really perform several tactics, if you will, to educate their user base. So for example, providers are made aware through release notes, through newsletters, through webinars, not unlike today, and other communication mechanisms specific to the individual EHR, including user group participation as one example. Additionally, Aptus can work directly with each participating brand team to develop an educational program specific to their brand needs that can include traditional digital media and even the potential for field sales support materials for program pull-through at a practice and account level. So hopefully that answers that question. Next question. Denise, I'm going to hand this one to you.
Okay.
This is right in your wheelhouse. So can the content and frequency of follow-up be customized to specific brand requirements?
Yes. So in general, we recommend 2 phone calls, one after the patient starter kit has been delivered, just to ensure that the patient received the kit, and a second call 3 weeks into a 30-day trial program. Of course, the frequency of these calls can be modified to accommodate individual product needs. We can also administer other communications, such as direct mail, to deliver additional educational materials or offers. So it is completely customizable.
Perfect. Thanks, Denise. So as I'm scrolling through questions, there's a lot of common themes here, so I'm going to try to get to some we haven't addressed yet. So here's a question. Will you be surveying physicians to see how the programs are working? And the short answer is yes. We can conduct follow-ups to both physicians and patients who have participated in the program. And this is a next question is kind of very similar to one we may have alluded to, which is who is responsible for putting together educational materials for patients? I'll take that one. So Aptus Health has developed standardized materials for the program that includes program terms and communications, which are available through our EHR partners. There is a patient starter kit that we talked about in a previous slide that includes, obviously, the free trial medication, welcome letter, and potentially other patient mailings. There's also, which is right in Denise's wheelhouse, there's the contact center scripts for their program specialists and FAQs for the representatives that are doing the live outreach. And other materials that could also be included in the program that our clients may wish to provide could include other types of educational materials like patient tear sheets, diaries, diet guides, etc. So, Denise, I think the questions are winding down. I'm going to give this one last question to you, and then what we'll do from there is we'll collate the remainder of the questions. There's been a lot of great questions today, and we hope you found this very interesting and beneficial. And as appropriate, we'll reach back out if we haven't addressed any of your specific questions. And also, like I referenced, if you would like to reach out to us directly, please feel free to do so. So, last question is, how long will support be provided to patients?
So the initial support that we provide will continue throughout the trial period, the free trial period. So whether that's 30 days, 14 days, or 60 days, depending on the manufacturer. However, we can offer assistance beyond that. So should the patient choose to consent and the manufacturer sets up another CRM program, we can facilitate that, get the program or the patient enrolled into the program, and continue services beyond the trial period.
That's great. Thank you, Denise. So, Paul, I'm going to hand it back to you at this point in time if you want to close us out.
Okay, thanks, Bob, and thank you, Denise. And thanks to all of you for attending this First Word webinar brought to you by Aptus Health. I know there are some questions that we didn't get to, so we shall make sure that Bob and Denise get the details of those questions, and they'll get back to you. If you have any other questions after the event, then contact information is in the one of the slides that you'll get. And just to remind you that the webinar has been recorded, and you'll be sent a download link of the recording very shortly. So that now brings this event to a close. Again, thank you very much for your time, and goodbye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.